Welcome to another episode of Streetpreneur Podcast. I'm Melvin, Streetpreneur McNeil, and I'm your host. Today I have a very special guest. She's the consignment queen. She has the biggest consignment shop here in Atlanta, Georgia. She's really had a lot of success. She was just in a flash mob that generated thousands of people who came to her retail establishment and shopped and bought everything on the shelves. And I'd like to welcome her. She's done a great job here in the city. She's helped a lot of smaller entrepreneurs out as far as getting their product out to the masses. And I want to welcome Mrs. Aisha Taylor Issa to the show. Welcome to Streetpreneur Podcast.
Thank you so much, Melvin. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. So all the news is about you right now.
And that's crazy because that's never what I wanted, right? I always wanted it to be about the sisters, but, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this incredible opportunity and season that we're in.
Yes.
We've been doing this for a long time. So to finally, really get that national press and presence has been a blessing.
Yeah, it's your harvest season. It's been your season, and it's just been time. Like you said, you've been praying about it. You've had other issues dealing with debt. You had to overcome family and other tragedy situations in your life. And it's just your time. It's the other side of the hill right now.
Listen, we still climbing. We climbing, but it's good to see a little light, at the end of the tunnel, because it has definitely been a rough season this past year or so.
Okay, and we just want to kind of touch on the day-to-day operations and what it takes to own and run and operate a retail consignment shop. For a lot of other women entrepreneurs, this is a great interview that they will be able to get inspired from, hearing your story, your personal journey of what it takes to run and operate, some of the challenges they're going to face, and what it's going to take. I just want you to shoot it straight to them and just tell them exactly what you had to deal with for your ideal. Yeah. Now, coming off the flash mob situation and all the success that has come with that, what has been the greatest lesson that you've learned in this whole ordeal of dealing with with your flash mob and all the publicity?
Wow. So I think it's kind of two sides to that. First of all, I've learned to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? Of course, we were not, we had no idea that this flash mob was coming or all of this press and media attention. But thankfully, we've always run a good operation, in terms of our staffing, our customer service, our systems. So we were able to handle, and we still are, able to handle the influx of customers and orders and things like that have been coming in, to the store, whether in person or online. Mm-hmm. We already had a robust e-commerce site. So I think that was probably one of the biggest blessings, and greatest lessons, that we were already ready for the overflow. We just were waiting for it to come.
Right. And the flood came at that particular time.
Yeah, and then of course, on the business side, through the coaching and mentorship that I'm getting from David and Neo and others who planned the flash mob, is just more so about how better business practices and how to be more in tune with our finances, and that you can't save everybody and those kind of things. But we're still learning, we're still working at it, we're still striving every day to do our best.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Good. Let's go back into your first location. We know this isn't your first consignment retail
Correct.
Location. Take us back. Tell us a little bit about your journey when you started with that first location, and just a little bit about where you're from.
Yeah, sure. So trip down memory lane, honestly, retail was never on our radar. Our brand started as the Sisters in Business Expo, which is still our parent company. We were founded in 2017 as a company to create expos and opportunities where Black women entrepreneurs could start, grow, and scale their businesses while gaining valuable resources and information. Okay. And we did that through our expos that we host in various cities around the country. That launched in 2018. We did the same in 2019. We toured several cities on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. Then 2020 happened, which was COVID, and we could not host our live events. So we were just trying to figure out, what to do to continue to serve our sisters, but also to stay in business ourselves. And that's when the Sister Shop came to be. Okay. We opened our first location in April of 2021 in Elizabeth, New Jersey, at the Mills at Jersey Gardens, which is one of the largest shopping centers in New Jersey, in the Northeast area, really. And so that's how we started. We didn't know what we were doing. We figured it out along the way. And what started as 45 brands grew, as high as 150.
Okay. And you first made the move to Atlanta and opened that second location in Atlantic Station. What year was that?
2022. So Juneteenth weekend of 2022, which was the next year, we opened our second location in Atlanta.
Okay. I hear you speak about some difficult situations that you've had to endure, such as your child and, like you said, your other family member. Just tell us about those personal tragedies and how you've had to overcome and still dealing with some of those obstacles that led you to your entrepreneur path. How do you balance the two and still remain?
Yeah, life don't stop life, and just because you're an entrepreneur, I
That's
think
true.
if anything, it maybe is more magnified because you have this weight of trying to run a successful business, but also dealing with, the challenges of life, right? So, I have a son. He's amazing, but he was born premature, and so it was a very difficult time, when he was born, hoping that he would make it every single day. But he's striving and doing great right now. He'll be 4 next month. And so, grateful to God for that. And, my mom has Alzheimer's and dementia. And so we are her caregivers. And so they're just life struggles. We all have our cross, to carry and our burden to bear. I think probably one of the most difficult experiences that I had was losing my dad last year. He passed away completely unexpectedly, and we were extremely close. And so grieving his passing over the last year and change has definitely, been difficult. But, my faith is strong. God is a keeper, and, we're still trucking along.
For those aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own consignment shop, can you tell them what some of the challenges that they're going to face in getting this operation off the ground, just getting started? What are some of the things they need to be aware of and look out?
Yeah. So there's many layers to it. And again, much of this is what I've had to learn along the way. I wish there had been an episode out like this when I was trying to start back in 2021. Some of the most important things, of course, are the curation of what you carry, right? So the different products, the different brands that you carry, making sure that they're high quality, making sure that the brand owners, share the same vision, the same level of, ethics and support for the business and that kind of thing. So that piece is really important. I think another important piece is your systems, right? Making sure that you have the systems in place, the technology in place to be able to support, a multi-brand or multi-vendor, situation. That was one of the biggest challenges, was trying to find a system that would work for what we needed it to do, and even having to make some changes along the way. So I think those are two of the biggest pieces.
Okay. And as far as people coming in that want to offer their items for sale in the shop, I know you're redoing your procedures as far as what's going to be allowed, what's not going to be allowed. What are some of the new systems that you're implementing for someone coming in, want to place their items in the store?
Yeah. So, the standard process is that there will still be an application process, right? And there will be a review. The review will just be a little more intense now, a little more detailed, looking more not just at the products, but more at the business itself, seeing what type of, revenue they have, what type of marketing they have, being sure that they're already a stable and successful brand before they're able to enter the store, so that we're, not having to carry each other, but we're, we're doing it together. So those are some of the things that we'll be looking more closely at.
Okay. Under the old model, would it be like someone just go to the print shop and they print up maybe 25 T-shirts and they bring them to you and they want to pay the fee? And how was that?
So I wouldn't say that. What I would say, though, is that we always required that it was a real business, right? That you had to be a current business in revenue. You had to have a web and social media presence and all of that. So it couldn't just be someone with a hobby. Those things were already in place. We just didn't look as closely at revenue and marketing strategies that were already in place for the brand to be sure that they would be in line with what we needed. So those, we already, had those types of things in place. We could, and we get that though. We do get people who say, "Oh, I got this, I got this shirt, or I have this book," and they just have a book, but it's not a brand. It still needs to be a brand. It needs to be a business, and those things will remain.
Okay. As far as someone looking to get started, what would you recommend that their pricing structure be? I know it was 40, 60, 40, 40, 60. Just kind of tell us what you
Yeah,
think would be
it's hard to
some of the
say.
pricing models that would be. I know it's changing because you're making restructured.
We'll see. I mean, we're still figuring it out, but I don't think
what has worked in the past.
Yeah, I think that every situation is going to be different. We've kind of had this standard pricing revenue split for our consignment brands, but we're considering possibly changing it, and based on the product and the price point and things like that. That piece really is more on a case by case basis. Some other options, of course, are not doing consignment and doing wholesale, which we're considering for some products as well. So it really is hard to say overall. You really just kind of have to do your research and try things out. Sometimes what you try out might not work, and you might have to change it. So just being open to that fact.
Okay. And as far as agreements and applications, what are just your consignment agreements? Like you said, you're changing the model on that as far as what the split is. What are some of the key things that? Yeah. And so, how long does the application process take? Will they know what they've been accepted into the retail program within 1 month, or is it a couple of weeks, or?
It varies. We have a waiting list. We've often had a waiting list for consignment. We also offer weekend vending. Which is where people can come in on the weekend as a pop-up vendor. Okay. So that you can get in more quickly. But consignment generally has a waiting list, especially because we're usually full in most categories, and we don't like to oversaturate the store with too many of one type of thing. So it's really hard to give a timeline, but I can say from the time we notify you that you are approved, the rest of the timeline is up to the vendor. On their readiness to complete the process and get the paperwork to us. Our system is automated, so everything is, happens, at the click of a button. When you submit one step, you'll get the next email about the next step. So usually if it's taking a while, it's because the vendor is not ready. And so, I would encourage people who are interested in having their products in a store to be ready, to be ready with your inventory, to be ready, with the funds required and those kind of things, so that when the opportunity presents itself, you can go ahead and get your things in.
And get it together, yeah. I want to touch on marketing. Marketing and client acquisition. As far as your marketing is concerned, what has been working for you in the past? Has it been mostly social media? It's kind of been word of mouth? As far as getting the business name and keeping it out. So I know you just had $1 million worth of publicity with the flash
mob.
God. So I don't know if you're going to need it for a while.
Well, we need it. We need to listen. If it ain't new news, it's old news. And so, very quickly something else will come up and take the spotlight. But I think that obviously social media, we started as a very grassroots business. When we couldn't pay for any ads or anything like that, we started through social media, but we also started in the community. Like, we go out and talk to people, pass out flyers. I keep flyers with me all the time. So anywhere where I am, if I'm in line at the grocery store, at the nail salon, anywhere, I'm passing out, telling people about the sister shop. So, all of those things combined have helped us to stay relevant. But obviously, it's never enough. You can never reach everyone. Even with this recent, blitz of media that we've had, there's still folks who ain't never heard of the sister shop. So that's why you got to keep pressing and keep trying to get the word out.
Right. As far as selling in e-commerce of your clients that are in the store, is that something that you have? Are they selling their items also on your website, or do they market their own items and bring the customers in? So
we have a full e-commerce site. So everything that's in the store is online.
Listed on the site.
Yes, absolutely. And so when we're marketing for both. We're saying, if you're in the Atlanta area, come in. If you're not, check us out online, right? Because obviously we know this one physical location is not going to reach everyone. We do, want to be a hot spot or a tourist destination for when folks come to Atlanta. But for those who are not in Atlanta, they can still be a part of the cause. They can still support. They can still shop great brands by Black women right on our website.
Okay. As far as outside of the shop marketing, as far as pop-ups or going to other workshops and festivals and things of that nature. Has that been successful as far as helping get the name out?
Absolutely. Listen, we always tell people we started as a vending company and we're always going to vend. So we have vended since 2018. You know, we pop up anywhere we can. Well, I won't say anywhere, but we pop up in a lot of places because we have merchandise as well. So we often set up and sell our own merchandise. And it's not just about selling the merchandise, but about getting the word out. So wherever you are, if you see us selling our merchandise, we're also telling people about the sister shop or about our upcoming events or about our upcoming courses, whatever we have going on, because nothing beats that face-to-face engagement.
Okay. You mentioned courses. What type of courses can they expect to receive? Is that more like a retail course or some type of
Everything.
training?
So through our Sisters in Business University, which is the teaching and training arm of the brand, we offer education on various topics, you know, anything from marketing and branding to taxes and budgeting, you know, really the whole gamut. It oftentimes is in partnership with our different, you know, corporate partners, you know, if they have a particular topic or a product or whatever that they want to educate our audience on, we include that as well. And so we always want to be sure that our sisters aren't just selling, but that they have the education to go with it.
Okay. How successful has been getting securing corporate sponsorships?
You know, I think we've done pretty well. Of course, it's never enough, right? There's a lot of money out there.
Yeah.
You know, we've gotten some fairly decent ones over the years, and it's a huge part of our business model to be able to partner with corporations in doing this work. But we're always looking for more, always sourcing them and pitching and trying to get that support.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of grants available, definitely for women entrepreneurs. We want to touch on the customer experience. What separates your consignment shop from other retail consignment shops? What is the difference? What is that experience that the customer is receiving?
Oh, it's a whole vibe at the sister shop. Let me tell you. You know, we really pride ourselves on high quality customer service, and that has been since day one, even before we opened the stores. Through our expos, it's something that's non-negotiable for us. We really, really take pride in offering an excellent experience for anyone who participates in anything we do. And so, but when you walk into the sister shop, it's just a different type of feeling. It's a different type of vibe. You know, we've literally had people leave the store in tears because they've never seen anything like it or felt that way when they entered the store where, you know, everything represented them or their culture, you know, and even non-Black people, you know, really, really just enjoy the atmosphere, the music, the aroma from all the great butters and candles. I mean, it's just really a whole vibe in the store. And so that's what we love when people can actually come and experience it in person.
Yeah, and you're really in a great location. As far as the Atlantic Station, that's definitely marketed and advertised as one of the tourist attractions here in Atlanta. So I'm sure you get a lot of foot traffic as well.
It's pretty good. You know, of course, when the weather's bad, it's not that great
In
because,
the winter season, I'm sure.
you know, or if it's too hot, or if it's too cold, or if it's raining too hard, you know, because it's an outdoor shopping area, you know, as opposed to like our first store in New Jersey was in an indoor regular mall, right? So if it rained outside, it was actually pretty good for us because people wanted to be inside. So it just depends. But, you know, overall, we do fairly decent.
Okay. Are you planning on downsizing your location or keeping it current as far as the size of the location?
That remains to be seen. We're not opposed to it. We definitely just want to see what God says and what the numbers show, you know, if it's sustainable, you know, as it is, if we can, you know, kind of turn things around or boost things in terms of our revenue. We have a beautiful space. Of course, we would hate to have to change spaces, but if we have to, we will, you know, because, you know, we can't make decisions on emotion. We have to make decisions on what's best for the business. So
that's true. As far as your customers are concerned and some of your retailers, how do you handle difficult situations or difficult customers who are not happy with a product or a service? I know you went through some experience. I know you got some stories you can tell me about. Just how do you handle those type of situations when it's a difficult customer who's not happy or one of your retailers, you know, like, hey, my product isn't moving. How do you handle that situation?
So that's two different things. So
if
it's a customer,
right.
I mean, and they come, you know, from time to time. Thankfully, overall, we don't have too many, but we handle it, you know, with professionalism. We have processes in place on how we respond, whether, you know, it could be an in-person issue or it could be an email or online. So, you know, depending on what it is, we respond, you know, in the best way possible. We try to satisfy the customer. even though we can't always, because we do have policies and procedures.
Yeah.
But we always try to just respond in a professional way and in a way that seeks to resolve the issue as opposed to, aggravating it. So we've done fairly well. We have pretty good reviews in terms of our customer service. When it comes to one of our vendors or, brand owners who's having a challenge, we try to talk through it. We try to strategize and see what else we can try to resolve the issue. We also know that everybody ain't for everybody, right? And so some relationships just are not meant to be. And if we've tried to troubleshoot, we've tried to do some corrective action, and if it's still not a good relationship, then we'll end it in a professional way and wish them the best, and hopefully they wish us the best, and there's no love lost because everything isn't meant to be. So
Yeah, that's true. Let's kind of touch on finances.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've been hearing a lot about finances lately, about some of the changes that you need to implement. As far as the startup costs, for someone who's seeking to start their own consignment business, just kind of give them a roundabout figure of what they would be looking at as far as startup costs. I know it's a lot of factors that play into that.
Yeah, it's a lot of factors. I can tell you a little bit more about the factors and what to consider because, first of all, are you doing retail brick and mortar or are you just going to do e-commerce? You can do e-commerce as a consignment. It doesn't have to be brick and mortar. Okay. And so there's that factor to consider. The systems that you're going to use, right? They cost. Everything costs. I can tell you that. Ain't nothing free. And most of the things are expensive. So the systems, whatever systems you're going to use to, calculate inventory and sales and commissions and that kind of thing, there's definitely costs associated with that. If you are doing this full time, or if you still have a full time job and you're not a full time entrepreneur, there's that factor as well. Because if this is your complete bread and butter, then you want to have I would say at least 6 months of savings to live off of, because you may or may not be able to pay yourself when you first get started. So there's a lot of factors to consider. I would also just suggest to try to cut costs as much as possible. So don't feel the need to buy things just because you think people will be impressed by them. Just buy what you need, right? So you don't have to have, a big fancy throne chair and, grass wall if that's not what you need. What you need is the products. You need your system. You need your internet. You need your phone working, those kind of things. So, and start small. Everything doesn't have to be huge. Sometimes less is more. And so, those are some of the factors I would keep in mind when thinking about what it's going to cost.
Yeah. As far as the expenses, what are some of the biggest monthly expenses they can expect to pay?
So
besides
many.
rent, I know rent
so
is
many.
Right. If you're leasing the building,
if this is brick and mortar, we're talking brick and mortar.
Brick and mortar.
So you got rent, you have phone, you have internet. Depending on the rent, it may or may not include utilities. So they may or may not be separate. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Your cost of goods, right? Okay. So if you are producing any products yourself, what is costing you for that? If you got a bathroom, you need toilet paper and paper towels. You need soap and hand sanitizer. I mean, the list is endless. Like, these are things people don't realize or think about. When I went into retail, I never look at a store the same again. When I walk into a store now, all I see is dollar signs. I'm like, oh, that cost, that cost. That cost. Seriously, because as a consumer, you don't think about it. You're just going in the shop, you're having a good time. But as a store owner, you realize how every single thing costs money. I remember when we first opened, we didn't have enough hangers. Yeah. And I went online to look at how much hangers cost. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? They're so expensive. Like, everything costs money. The mannequins, the display stands, if you've got our TVs on the wall and they got to be replaced every year just about. I mean, it's so many expenses. And so that's why more people don't do it, because it costs a lot. And so people, may have a lot of opinions and a lot of things to say, but there's a reason why more people ain't doing it, because it's expensive.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. How do you prepare for the seasons as far as budget-wise? Like you said, going into your busy summer, spring months versus your winter months.
Yeah, stay slim and trim, right? So, just because you're getting more sales doesn't mean you spend more, right? Okay. And so trying, again, to just still stick within, a budget and, a cost percentage that will hopefully prepare you for the slow seasons. But then also looking at how you can boost your e-commerce in the times when the physical store is slow, right? So that you get some sort of balance, and that you still keep some revenue. You also have to diversify the revenue stream, right? So we have, and we'll be doing more of this using our space, for events and for, other types of things, so that you can bring in revenue even when people aren't necessarily buying stuff. So yeah, that's how we've tried to.
Okay, we want to talk now about industry trends. What are some of the new trends or new developments you see coming in for as the consignment industry is concerned? I know you're redoing your model right now, your business model. What new trends do you see?
So, and that's something I think I have to research a little bit more. I have not necessarily really tapped into the trends. I've been just so laser focused on trying to keep us alive and keep us afloat. So that I can't really say. I think I'll have to do a little bit more research on that and see what some trends are. But I think definitely learning that e-commerce is just as important, if not more important, than the physical space, because that is what is ultimately going to help you to reach a wider audience. And so, you don't want to spend so much time marketing the physical store that you neglect the e-commerce. You definitely want to spend time on both.
Okay. As far as your growth and development, what has been the most rewarding aspect of your consignment shop, just having it in general? What has been the blessings that have come out of it?
Yeah, I think there's so many. I could even go back to just this morning.
Okay.
We have a sister who's vending with us for the weekend, and I don't know her. I didn't know her. Our project manager does the onboarding, for the vendors who come into the store. So I didn't really have a chance to learn about her. But I met her this morning, and she was so kind. But she's an author, and she has these incredible books that she wrote while she was homeless. And now she is, getting back on her feet, building and growing her business as an author, and is so happy to be a featured vendor in our store for the weekend. Those are the stories that make this all worth it, to hear sisters say, since being in your store, my brand has grown this much, or I've generated this much revenue, or, since I was a vendor at your expo, I was able to connect with this person or get this much in sales. So it's the stories of the sisters that keep us going, that really make this work meaningful, and that, teach us that, that there's even more to do.
Okay. I want to touch on mental health and just staying motivated throughout this entire process. Because like you said, so many ups and downs that you have to deal with on a daily basis. Just how do you stay motivated and just stay grounded during this entire whole process?
Yeah.
Because that's going to help a lot of other entrepreneurs once they hear your statement about, what do you recommend?
So prayer is my superpower. I am, a very spiritual person, obviously, a very faith-filled person. I'm a minister by profession, licensed, trained, and educated. I've been in ministry for over 20 years. And so it's, very important to practice what you preach, and not just tell people to have faith, but also to have it myself. So it's no doubt that God and the power of God is what keeps me grounded. My faith is what has kept me through this difficult season. I have a very, very strong support system. So my family is my rock, and I would not be able to do any of this without them. I feel bad for people who don't have a family or a support system, because it's hard. It's hard to do it by yourself. I can't imagine what I would do if I didn't have my family. So, even if you don't have blood family, I just encourage people to try to find that support system, and God will give it to you. If it's what you want, He will connect you with the right people. He will send people into your life who will be a blessing and support to you. Sometimes we just have to be open to it because we become so closed off. But those factors are definitely what has kept me.
Okay. And what key piece of advice would you recommend entrepreneurs who are thinking about even starting a consignment shop? Just kind of give them a few pieces of advice, which you already have throughout the entire interview anyway.
Well, whether you start in a consignment shop or anything, just know it's not going to be easy. I think that obviously social media makes things seem simple, and that's why conversations like this are so important. And you really have to be patient and do the work, and watch God do the rest. It's not an easy task. Opening any business, but then especially one that requires engagement with a lot of different brands and a lot of different products, and trying to be sure that you're doing the best that you possibly can to support everyone, but keep the business afloat as well. So I would just say go into it knowing that it's going to be hard work, but that it is possible, and to just always do your best. And if you do what's right, God will bless you.
Yeah, true. Let's touch on goals. Some of your new future goals and plans. I know they're changing monthly. I know you're developing new strategy. Just where do you see the company going in 2025?
Yeah, so I got some goals. One of them is to be debt free. For sure.
Okay. Sure
I don't even want to see debt. I don't want to even smell debt. So we're hopefully, going to be able to become debt free, get back into a better position financially. And then once we're able to do that, we will look at expansion and what that might look like, but we're not going to rush into anything for sure. And just think about how we can, what are the ways we need to re-strategize, and what are the things we might need to be offering or providing to our sisters. A lot of people know us for the sister shop, but the sister shop was never the only thing we were. It's really a part of our brand. We have so many factors and components. Our Sisters in Business University, our foundation, which is our nonprofit, our pitch competitions where we give away grants. So there's so many parts to the brand, and I want to hopefully get more focus on those other areas as well, as beautiful as the sister shop is. Because if there does ever come a time where, God says it's time to close, we still have work to do. And I don't want people to think, oh, there's no sister shop, so there's no more sisters in business. No, we are still and always will be sisters in business, and it just might look different in different seasons.
Yeah, I can see a national franchise kind of model concept.
Yeah.
As far as
and that was what we had said, even when we opened the second store, because I was like, oh, I'm not doing this again. It's a lot of work to open a store. And I have a really good friend who, Black Botch Franchising, shout out to her, and she teaches, Black business owners how to franchise. And so I had already told her, listen, the next one we open is going to be a franchise. So maybe we can get there one day. I think that would be amazing. But right now our focus is just on getting this one into a successful place.
Right. Are you going to continue to do the expo, the Sisters Expo?
So we do. We have our expo coming up in December 7th. Okay. It's our Southeast Expo pitch competition and holiday market. That expo is going to happen, but it might not look that way in the future. So, and we had already begun to offer these smaller markets throughout the year. So last year we had several. We had our Black History Month market. We had our Women's History Month market. We had our holiday market. And so we probably will not continue to host the expos on the large scale that we do now, but look to do more intimate, types of events, smaller events that still help us to serve our sisters. But we definitely gonna go out with a bang. So y'all come see us on December 7th. It's gonna be the grand finale of the expo in that form. But we're really excited. We have some amazing vendors that will be there, great speakers. Jessica Judy Dupart of Kaleidoscope is our keynote. And we got some more surprises.
Okay.
And we need more sponsors, so holla at us.
Well, we want to thank you for coming out today. Definitely being our guest. You definitely were a great inspiration, and definitely motivated a lot of other entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting their own business, whether it's consignment shop or not. So we want God to continue to bless you in all your endeavors, and definitely keep the sister alive.
Yes.
In every aspect. And it doesn't matter what people say or what they had to say. You're still growing. You're still operating. A lot of people can't walk in your shoes.
I wish they try so I could take them off. But thank you for having me. Right. This has been a really good time, and I appreciate what you do for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thank you. And let people know how to get in contact with you.
Yes. So Sisters in Business Expo, and it's SISTAH on all platforms. Our Instagram is at SIB Expo, at the Sister Shop ATL. My personal brand page is at SIB Founder. And then we're also on Facebook at Sisters in Business Expo, LinkedIn at Sisters in Business Expo, TikTok at SIB Expo. Threads at SIB Expo, all the things. So yeah, check us out. Make sure you join our mailing list. That's the best way to stay up to date on everything that we have going on.
Okay. Again, I want to thank you for coming on the show, being a guest of Streetpreneur Podcast. And I want you all to support her in every way. Like she said, go to the website, purchase, make donations, continue to keep this business going alive. And I want to welcome everybody that came out today. We have another great episode for you coming up next after this one. And each and every Friday, make sure you hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you leave comments in that comment section. Let us know how we're doing, what new developments we need to work on, what entrepreneurs you would like to see as guests on the show. And we want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. How was it?
All right.